All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to tackle Mount JavaScript, one of the most powerful and essential languages of the entire web. If you've ever wanted to peek behind the curtain and see what makes the internet actually work, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's start our climb.
Really think about it. You click a button and a menu just pops up out of nowhere. Or you get an alert, or your social media feed updates itself without you even touching the refresh button. That's not magic. Nope, that's JavaScript, and it's working behind the scenes on pretty much every website you visit.
So to really get what JavaScript does, it helps to see the whole team. Think of building a website like building a house. First, you've got HTML. That's your blueprint, your foundation, your walls, the basic structure. It's the nouns. Then you've got CSS. That's your paint, your furniture, your style. It's the adjectives that make the house look good. But nothing actually happens yet. That's where JavaScript comes in. It's the electricity, the plumbing, the garage door opener. It's the verb. It makes the house a place you can actually live in and interact with.
Here's our game plan for the climb today. We're going to start with the absolute basics. What even is JavaScript? Then we'll cover its building blocks, figure out how to make our code actually work, see how to keep it organized, and finally, we'll get a little sneak peek from the summit at some of the really cool advanced stuff. Sound good? Let's go.
Okay, every big climb starts at the trailhead. This is step one. So before we go any further, let's answer the big question. What exactly is JavaScript? So what it all boils down to is this. JavaScript is a scripting language that runs right inside your web browser. Its whole job is to take a flat, boring web page, just text and pictures, and completely bring it to life, making it dynamic and interactive and just fun to use. It's the language that lets us make things move, react, and change on the screen. All right, we've left the trailhead and we've made it to base camp. Now, before we start climbing any higher, we need to gear up. We've got to get the absolute fundamentals down. These are the tools that every single JavaScript developer needs in their toolkit.
First up, the variable. This is maybe one of the most important ideas in all of programming, so it's a great place to start. The easiest way to think about a variable is just like a storage box with a label on it. You can put some information inside, slap a name on the outside, and then later, you can just use that name to find out what's in the box, or even swap it out for something new. It's how we keep track of, well, everything.
And here's what that looks like in practice. See this line of code? We're taking a piece of information, the text, Alex, and using the keyword let to create a new storage box. Then we give that box the label username. Now, anytime we need to know the user's name, we just look for the box labeled username. It's a really simple idea, but it's incredibly powerful.
Of course, you can put all sorts of things in these boxes, not just text. And what we call the kind of information you're storing is its data type. This is super important because JavaScript needs to know if it's dealing with text or a number or something else entirely. It handles each type in a different way.
Here are the three big ones you're going to see all the time. A string is just what we call text, like our Alex example. A number is, well, pretty obvious. It can be a whole number like 10 or a decimal like 3.14. And then there's a Boolean. This one is special. It can only ever be one of two things, true or false. That's it. And that simple true or false idea is the key to making decisions in our code, which we're going to get to right now.
Okay, gear check complete. We're leaving base camp and starting the real ascent. And this is where it gets really fun, because we're going to stop just storing information and we're going to start making our code actually do things with it. Time to add some logic and action.
And that brings us to this idea of control flow. See, code doesn't always just run in a straight line from top to bottom. Control flow lets us tell it which path to take. Imagine you're on the trail and you come to a fork in the road. You have to decide, go left or go right. Our code can make those exact same kinds of decisions based on what's happening. The most common way our code handles that fork in the road is with something called an if-else statement. It's a really simple idea. First, you check if something is true. For example, you ask the question, is this user logged in? If the answer is true, you run one piece of code. Maybe you show them their profile page. Else, meaning if the answer is false, you run a totally different piece of code, like showing them the login screen. This is what lets your website react differently in different situations. It's a total game changer.
Now, what if you have a task you need to do over and over again? Let's say you need to greet a user. You wouldn't want to write out all the steps for doing that every single time, right? That would be a huge pain. Well, that's what functions are for. A function is basically a recipe. You write the instructions once,
give it a name, and then whenever you need to do that task, you just call out the recipe's name.
And this is why functions are so incredibly useful. It's not just about typing less. They make your code reusable, which is just plain efficient. They keep everything organized by grouping all the steps for one job in one place. And because of that, they make your code way, way easier for you or anyone else to read and understand.
We are making some serious progress up this mountain. Let's just pause for a second here at this scenic overlook. From up here, we can get a much clearer view of how to add some real structure to our code by grouping related bits of data together.
So as your programs start getting bigger, things can get a little messy. You might have a bunch of different variables that are all describing the same thing, and they're just kind of scattered everywhere. That's where an object comes in to save the day. Think of an object as a super container. It lets you bundle all those related pieces of info into a single, tidy package.
And check this out. This makes it perfectly clear. On the left, we've got these two separate variables just floating around. They're related, sure, but they're not connected. But on the right, we use an object. We've gathered those pieces of info and stored them together inside one single thing called player. It's the same information, but now it's logically connected. It's just so much cleaner and easier to work with.
Okay, we're getting close to the top now. The air is getting clearer, and we can actually see the peak from here. Now, we're not going to climb it all today, but let's take a quick look ahead at the amazing, powerful tools that are waiting for us once we've really mastered these fundamentals. This is our glimpse from the summit.
Once you're really comfortable with the basics, this whole other world just opens up. You start working with things like promises, which let you handle slow tasks like fetching data from a server without freezing the entire page. You'll use modules to break your code into different files, which is absolutely essential for keeping big projects from becoming a total mess. And you'll use classes, which are like blueprints for creating lots of complex objects. This stuff is the bedrock of modern web development.
And you know, that's the real beauty of the journey we started today. The path we took, from one little variable all the way to a glimpse of these advanced concepts, that's the same path every developer takes. JavaScript scales up beautifully. You can use it to make a tiny button on your blog, or you can use it to build a massive, complex application for millions of people. It all starts with these fundamentals.
So, we did it. Our first climb is in the books. We've seen the trail, we've got our basic gear, and we've even caught a glimpse of the summit. You now have the map. The only question left is, where are you going to go with it? What are you going to build first?